Isabella Soulier, SPCE 609-803, Professor Allison Labrie. The date is September 19th, 2024. A stimulus is added to the environment following a behavior which results in an increase in future occurrences of that behavior, positive reinforcement. A stimulus that signals the non-availability of reinforcement, stimulus delta. Punishment that occurs in the absence of social consequences, automatic punisher. A response must occur within a specified amount of time after the end of the interval, or the interval is reset, may be a component of a variable interval or fixed interval schedule. Pass. A philosophical position that views behavioral events that cannot be publicly observed as outside the realm of science. Pass. A previously neutral stimulus change that functions as a punisher due to prior pairing with other punishers. Generalized punisher. A conditioned punisher which has been associated with a number of other punishers. Conditioned punisher. A functional relation between a stimulus and response. Stimulus change can have an immediate but temporary effect, or delayed but permanent effect on behavior frequency. Pass. The study of all human behavior, including public and private events. Radical behaviorism. The surroundings and circumstances in which an individual exists that changes from instance to instance, including settings, antecedents, and consequences. Environment. A comparison of data produced from a measurement system to a true value or known standard. If errors are found, then this information is used to correct the system. Pass. The schedule of reinforcement requires a varying amount of time to elapse before reinforcement is provided. Varied interval. Indicates that a reinforcer is delivered after a precise amount of time or number of responses, with the time number not changing across reinforcement opportunities. Fixed ratio. Reinforcement is delivered on a schedule independent of behavior, non-contingent reinforcement. A philosophical position asserting that the truth value of a statement is determined by how well it promotes effective action. Pragmatism. Measurement procedures that capture every occurrence of behavior. Event recording. An operant that occurs more frequently under certain antecedents. Pass. A natural science approach to the study of behavior as a subject matter with an emphasis on describing functional relations between behavior and controlling variables in the environment. Experimental analysis of behavior. The portion of an organism's interaction with the environment that involves some movement of the organism behavior. The process of ruling out the simplest explanation first. Parsimony. A group of responses with varying topography that all have the same effect on their environment. Response class. Reinforcement that occurs in the absence of social consequences. Automatic reinforcement. Behavior that is shaped through direct experiences with contingency-shaped behavior. A fictitious or hypothetical variable that often takes the form of another name for the observed phenomenon it claims to explain and contributes nothing to a functional account or understanding of the phenomenon. Free operant. A learned stimulus response, functional relation with an antecedent stimulus and the response it elicits. Conditioned reflex. The schedule of reinforcement requires a specified period of time to elapse before reinforcement is available without specification of how many responses are made. Fixed ratio. An environmental condition or stimulus change that exists or occurs prior to the behavior. Antecedent. The behavior that is measured is the same as the behavior that is the focus of the investigation. Pass. An approach to understanding behavior that assumes that a mental or inner dimension exists that differs from a behavioral dimension. Pass. A conditioned reinforcer which has been associated with a number of other reinforcers. Conditioned reinforcer. Behavior is reinforced when it has occurred a specified number of times. This schedule of reinforcement is utilized most often when establishing a new behavior, fixed ratio. Any operant behavior that results in minimal displacement of the participant in time and space. The operant behavior can be emitted at nearly any time, is discrete, requires minimal time for completion, and can produce a wide range of response rates. Free operant. The physical form or shape of behavior, topography. A group of responses which share the same function, response class. The process by which operant learning occurs, consequences result in an increase or decreased frequency of the same type of behavior under stimulus future conditions, pass. The objective observation of a phenomenon, empiricism. A stimulus is removed from the environment following a behavior which results in an increase in future occurrences of that behavior, negative reinforcement. The assumption that the universe is lawful and orderly and that phenomena do not occur accidentally, determinism. A formally neutral stimulus is paired with an unconditioned stimulus or another conditioned stimulus, which now elicits a conditioned reflex, conditioned stimulus. Increase or decrease in behavior due to the reinforcement history, pass. An operant whose response rate is controlled by a given opportunity to emit the response, discrete trial. Measurement procedures for determining how many times a behavior occurs, event recording. Stimulus is added to the environment following a behavior which results in a decrease in future occurrences of that behavior, positive punishment. Behavior that is selected, maintained, and brought under stimulus control as a function of its consequences, operant behavior. A behavior that acts as quick and dramatic consequences that result in long-lasting change because it exposes the individual to new reinforcers, environments, contingencies, responses, and stimulus controls, behavioral class. A fixed ratio schedule which presents a reinforcer after each occurrence of behavior. This is often referred to as a FR1 schedule, continuous reinforcement schedule. The change in rate of responding over time, pass. A stimulus is removed from the environment following a behavior which results in a decrease in future occurrences of that behavior, negative punishment. Schedules in which consequences are delivered after a specified number of responses, pass. Dependent and temporal relations between operant behaviors and its controlling variables, pass. A stimulus change that follows a behavior, consequence. An attitude that the validity and truthfulness of scientific findings should be continuously questioned, philosophical doubt. The schedule of reinforcement requires a varying number of responses before reinforcement is provided. It promotes maintenance and generalization as well as steady and high rates of responding, variable ratio. A stimulus in the presence of which a given behavior has been reinforced, in the absence of which that behavior has not been reinforced, pass. Size, color, intensity, weight, and spatial position relative to other objects, pass. A form of assessment that includes indirect and direct procedures such as interviews, checklists, and tests to identify and define a behavior targeted for change, behavioral assessment. A stimulus change that functions as a reinforcer due to prior pairing with other reinforcers, generalized reinforcer. Represents the extent to which two observers report the same value after measuring the same events, inter-observer agreement. An experimental design in which participants have two or more response options resulting in different treatment procedures, pass. The process of analyzing and improving socially significant behaviors through the scientific method, applied behavior analysis.